Why should you set up boundaries in your life? You should set up boundaries in your life so that you can protect what is most valuable to you. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be talking about boundaries, what they are, why they're important, and how you can apply them to your life. Let's jump right in. First off, what is a boundary? Boundaries come in many different shapes and sizes, but at its most simple function, a boundary is set up to protect the things that you value most in your life. Boundaries help keep in what you want in your life and keep out what you don't want in your life. A boundary I like to imagine as being like a fence or a gate, depending on the type of boundary that it is. But if you have a piece of property and you have a wide field that you own and you have a fence up around it and you have things on the inside that you want to protect and you have the wide world on the outside, boundary is like a fence. And it shows where your life begins and ends and where everyone else's life begins or ends, that stopping point that differentiates you from the rest of the world. Which leads me to the why of boundaries. Why do we want to have boundaries in our life? Aren't these just a bunch of strict rules or regulations? I don't want to feel restricted. Well, that's why you need to take a different perspective. So, the what of a boundary into the why of a boundary. Why boundaries are important. To determine why you want to have boundaries in your life, it really comes down to what it is that you value and that you want to protect in your life. This could be a whole range of things, and it's going to be different for every person. Some of my own things that I value are my family. That's just one area of my life, but it's something that I value a lot. And so because of that, I've set up boundaries in my life that allow me to keep and protect those things that are so important to me. Another aspect about boundaries is this concept about being a powerful person. It's really easy to fall into a victim mindset where life just happens to you, where you live at the beck and call of everyone else's schedule and demands, and you start to feel like, I am just out of control and I am powerless. But the truth of the matter is, you are not powerless, and you have the ability to say yes and to say no to the demands that come your way. Now, saying no to some of the demands, like paying your electric bill, might have consequences. The power gets cut off. So prioritizing what you want to say yes and no to takes some careful thought so that you know what those potential consequences are. However, the consequences or the cause and effect and the benefits of having boundaries is what I really want you to focus on from this video. As you begin to do that, you are beginning to become a powerful person because you are deciding, well, actually, I value this, and this. And this demand that has come of me, I realized, doesn't allow me to communicate value to these areas. And so what am I going to do? That leads me to part 3 of this video, which is to create those boundaries. How do you create boundaries in your life, and what can that look like? Well, first off, you do need to determine those things that you want to value and prioritize. I would think about all the areas of life and think about those things that are most precious to you. If you'd like, you can take a moment and write those down. I know some of the things for me, like I mentioned previously, are my family. A lot of the decisions or boundaries that I might have in my life are going to be because of my family and how important they are to me. For you, it may be your school and your academic studies. You could be in a season where you're working really hard to maintain good grades and have a good GPA. Or you could be really focused on your career right now. Whatever it is, you need to kind of prioritize, look at these different demands in your life and prioritize those things that matter most. Again, a journaling exercise might be super helpful for you right now. Or if you're a verbal processor, try calling up a friend and having this conversation with them. Now that you've determined what is most important to you, you need to figure out how you're going to protect it. Part of that how is going to be a boundary, but you need to determine at what point do you need to set that boundary up. I know I'm talking in really broad terms here because boundaries can be used in so many areas of life. So I'll give you some more specific examples, but realize that they're not tied to just this category or just this area of life. For me, I have 3 important areas that I want to share for the sake of this video of my life that I value and want to use boundaries to help protect. And those are sleep, health, and time with my family. Here's what a boundary looks like in action. So this activity comes along and the opportunity is, hey Amy, you can be a part of this thing and do this. And here's the time that's going to require, and here's what it's going to demand of your schedule. Here's the meetings you're going to have to be at. Whatever it is, you're going to want to get clarity about that whenever that you invite this into your life. I'm going to be looking at the opportunity and thinking, okay, that's a really cool opportunity because I love doing things and jumping right in with both feet. But then I'm going to be thinking to myself, is this going to affect my health? Is it going to affect my sleep? And is it going to affect the time with my family? And I'm going to have to weigh out, are the benefits of this opportunity great enough to sacrifice potentially one of these other 3 things? Now, it might not be an either or situation. It might be able to fit into the daily activities of my life and it might not take away. If that's the case, then I have to look at the rest of my schedule and decide, okay, sure, I have this amount of free time, but again, is that going to take away from, like, that's my time, that's my free time, like, do I want to be committing this to that event or that schedule or that opportunity? That's a very healthy way to have boundaries. You are thinking ahead of time about the things that you commit to, and you're looking at the things that you value most and are determining what are you committing to based off of, are you still able to protect those things that are so precious to you? Another way that you can set boundaries, and this is good if you're still becoming self-aware and learning like how to be a powerful person. This next way, it's more like something that helps you know that you need to set a boundary. And that is where you begin to see that you are sacrificing those things that mean the most to you. For me, sleep, time with my family, and my health. If I pack my life so full of activities that I get sick, it's a very good red flag for me to realize I am not protecting these things as much as I want to do in my head, and I better rethink those things that I'm committed to and or be extra careful about those new activities and opportunities that come into my life. I need to be very careful about letting those things in this season. So there's like those red flag boundary checks. Again, it could be, I haven't had a date night with my husband in a month. Okay, obviously I'm having a little bit of a hard time with my prioritization here, because if that's super important to me, I'm going to have it on my schedule and on my calendar and we're going to make it happen. But potentially things just come up and life gets busy and we let those things slide. When you realize, oh wow, this hasn't happened. Okay, what's going on? What is seemingly so urgent that is preventing me from doing these things that I value so much? Those are just 2 examples from my own life of things that could become a red flag and ways that I've realized, oh, I need to have better boundaries on these areas to protect what matters most to me. My relationship with my family, that quality time spending with them, making sure that I get enough sleep so that I don't get sick. Or from a health perspective of like watching those things that I expose myself to from a food perspective. Like, am I going to go to Dairy Queen to hang out with friends? Well, if I'm trying not to eat Dairy Queen and ice cream all the time, maybe I'm not going to go there. Maybe I'm going to suggest, like, let's meet up at a park and walk there. I'm going to be putting myself in an environment and a position where I'm setting myself up for success to be powerful towards those things that I really value and that are most important to me. So, you hear a lot of catchphrases in this video. I hope that it sinks in and hits home for you, and that you will begin to consider, first off, what are those things that are most valuable to you? Then, how are you going to take action to prioritize those things? Because you are powerful and you can choose what you let into your life and what you need to keep out. There's a lot of different ways that boundaries are super important. It's not the scope of this video, but just know that you could totally nerd out about this concept of boundaries. But in today's video, I just want you to think about how it applies to your own everyday life and how you could use it to improve your quality of life today, tomorrow, next week. Next time the tyranny of the urgent comes knocking on your door and says, I need you to do this, or would you please come be a part of this club, you know? And be like, well, I don't know if I have time to be part of that club. Let me weigh out the decision carefully before I commit and jump right in. Alright, that wraps up today's video. I hope you found it helpful and interesting, and that you will take some of these points away and apply them to your own life. If you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. And I will be releasing a new video next week, so I can't wait to see you then. I hope you have a great day.